Hello and welcome to Eastlake Plus, a positive podcast. This is Spotlight Education, and I'm your host, Michael Minharis, and I'm joined this evening by the Honorable Mayor of Chula Vista, Mr. John McCann.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
John, we're thrilled that you're here with us today and excited to talk about Eastlake and the city of Chula Vista and also education. So we want to, again, thank you for joining us here this evening and being a part of our podcast, Eastlake Plus, a positive podcast. Looking back on 30 years of Eastlake, there is so much that we could talk about, but this time we're going to focus on education. This is Spotlight Education. And so I'm wondering if you could share with us and our viewers and listeners, what are your thoughts about how Chula Vista prepares students for the 21st century workforce? And how do you think our kids are uniquely prepared for the world because of that experience?
Well, that's a great question. And Michael, thank you for having me. This is a great opportunity. I love Eastlake, and Eastlake, again, on the eastern part of the city of Chula Vista, really created the expansion to the east. When I was a little kid, it was about 60,000 people. Wow. Now we're at 277,000, on our way to be over 300,000. And the great thing about Eastlake was we were able to master plan the communities. Back when in the 90s when I was on the Planning Commission, and in the early 2000s being on the City Council. And the great thing is, when I was a kid on the west side of Chula Vista, my mom raised me as a single mom, Rohr Industries, and we're all very working class families. Mm-hmm. And when my parents or of my friends would get a little more wealthy, they would move out. They would go to Bonita or another nicer place in the area. And the great thing about Eastlake is we have something for everybody. We have housing all the way from the mailroom to the boardroom. So as you progress in your standards and your family, you're still going to be able to stay here and stay in the community, which I think just really creates more ownership and creates more strength for the community.
Absolutely. I know I grew up in a similar way. My dad actually did work at Rohr way back in the day, so I know Rohr Industries very well. So definitely. Let's talk about, for Eastlake, the educational component that's out here. I know a lot of families moved out here because of the quality education that was taking place. The new school, we're here at Eastlake High School, and I wanted you to know if you could talk to us about the education that students are receiving out here in this area.
And that was one of the key components. When we want to attract people to our city, what is the number one thing people talk about when they move somewhere? What is the education like? Mm-hmm. And we wanted to make sure that we were working with the educational, the districts, to be able to have high quality education. We made sure that we built the best schools, made sure that they had all the technology they could. Believe it or not, Eastlake High School was actually built prior to the internet,
wow.
So it didn't. So we didn't have fiber optics back then going to the school. But everything that we were looking at, we were trying to make sure that we provided great opportunities for our students and for our community, mm-hmm. and that was making sure that we built the correct number of elementary schools, the correct number of middle schools, and the correct number of high schools.
That's great. Well, definitely a master plan community. That's what definitely Eastlake is. And community plays a profound role in supporting the next generation of leaders. We have some terrific students here interning for us on this podcast. They do a wonderful job of recording and editing and keeping us on track, making us look good. But we want to know, why do you think everyone should care about public education? Why is that so important to a community like Chula Vista?
Well, it really is very important. Why everybody should care about the education is that they are going to be our future leaders. And we want people who are people of character, people with quality, and being able to go ahead and have high-quality jobs as well. City of Chula Vista, for years and years, we did a great job at building housing, mm-hmm. and building master planned communities. Now we're actually moving into the next step and creating an innovation district, because so many people in the city of Chula Vista, about 80 to 90,000 of us prior to COVID, would get in our cars and drive somewhere else to go to work. We want to make sure that people now can not only live in Chula Vista, but also work here, because there are many economic benefits, there are many time-saving benefits, and so many benefits to our local institutions. We will be able to bring new companies down here to create the jobs. So instead of having to drive maybe an hour and a half to Sorrento Valley or Poway, we can actually just drive, 20 minutes down the road to the Innovation District here on the east side of Chula Vista to have a job. And that's the vision here. And we believe that that's going to only improve the quality of life for all of Chula Vista.
That's great. And I think that's a belief that the Eastlake Educational Foundation shares as well. Innovation is very important to them. And I know that they have always been focused on STEAM, that they're focused on technology and engineering and math. And I know sitting here at Eastlake High in our studio, right outside the doors is Titan Bots. And so I wonder if you could talk to us a little bit about how you see the focus on STEAM moving forward in education for our students.
And that's a great idea. The Eastlake Educational Foundation has done a great job. And I remember when Eastlake was just starting. And one of the great things about Eastlake was Bill Ostrom, the president of Eastlake, understood that education was a very, very important thing for the community. And we wanted to make sure that we had the infrastructure for our schools and making sure that we implemented the future jobs, which are in the STEAM areas. And the Eastlake Educational Foundation just was a tremendous asset to be able to make sure that we continued to focus on that and brought in additional funding to give our students additional training and additional attention so that they could be successful at the STEAM items.
Exactly. And I know with the Come Together campaign and the return of Taste of Eastlake, the Eastlake Education Foundation is raising more funds so they continue that effort and helping students succeed. That's terrific. John, I want to kind of move more into a personal approach with you right at the moment. Your career has spanned community service and giving back and really being a servant leader. What we can see, you have served our country well, and you have been in service, military service, but also in public service, and now mayor of Chula Vista. And I wondered if you could offer some advice to our young citizens about their future and what might be in store for them. Any advice from what you've experienced in your life as a servant leader?
Sure. Thank you very much. I've just been very blessed and honored to serve. The big thing you need to learn is it's not about you. It's about serving others. And you just have to continue to work hard and continue to move forward and do things that are innovative. But the biggest thing is make sure you deal with people in a quality manner. You want to make sure that even if you don't succeed, that they succeed. And it doesn't always happen, but there have been many times where people have appreciated when you've helped someone to be successful and they come back and help you. And that's what it's about. It's really about serving others, helping other people. And I believe that as we help each other, it helps our community. And as our community grows and strengthens and gets stronger, all that does is make everybody better.
That's terrific. Well, we absolutely appreciate your time this evening, Mr. Mayor. We want to, again, thank you so much for coming out and sharing your thoughts and your ideas with us about our community, about the city of Chula Vista, and our future leaders. Again, this is Spotlight Education. We thank you again for listening to Eastlake Plus, a positive podcast. Until next time, I'm Mike Benharis, your host. See you again. Thank you.